All I want to do when I wake up in the morning is see you rise. Cardano, Cardano. I'm just waiting for cryptos to really go on a nice big route. I mean, I know we had a quick 13.8 Bitcoin, 13,800, like around June or so of 2019. But I mean, I'm ready for like hit that all-time high again. Steven's out, new crypto songs coming. That boy's good. He's real good. He can sing. So theguardian.com, which is kind of a mainstream website, but got an interesting article that fits old Snips. You know, why is your camera messed up? Because your kids were in here messing with your room, son. Messing with the man cave. That's why. There we go. Anyways, mainstream site fits right in with stuff that I've been talking to y'all about for the last God knows how many years. But everything's fine. You know, everything looks fine. The markets are up. The numbers are good. But I've always said, okay, yeah, that's fine. And I said even before Trump was elected, I said it doesn't matter who the next president is. Like I don't know if it was Lindsey Williams maybe gave that old saying, that old analogy about the train just going on down the track. The train tracks were laid a long time ago. So it doesn't matter when the conductor gets in the train, toot that horn, wonk, wonk, yeah, I'm the conductor, I'm going to fix this and I'm going to do that. We have a debt problem. We have a fractional reserve lending bank problem from our Federal Reserve. It stems from there. We got a problem that, again, the tracks were laid a long time ago. It don't matter who the president or the conductor of the train is. I said that before, maybe even most likely even before we even knew who was actually going to run 2016, because I've been talking about this stuff for many, many years. And according to Q, we have the gold. Yes, we do. And gold will destroy the Fed. So it looks like there's a plan to get rid of this Federal Reserve after all, which is a good thing. But when? And how much carnage is going to happen in between that time? And does the carnage lead to the Fed ending and gold standard coming back or something like that? Probably so, but I don't know. And I do have another gold video after this to talk to you about. That was from Alistair McLeod, which is a pretty good article. It's kind of long, but he kind of lays a lot of different things out. You know, this resonates with everything that I've ever learned and studied. I think I want to do a video on this. So that video is coming next. So, theguardian.com, debt will kill the global economy, but it seems no one cares, by Philip. Hello, Tance. It's your friend, Philip. Hello, Philip. It's Tance. Tance and Philip. Come closer, Tance. There's evidence all around here. Where, Philip? I don't see it. Come closer, Tance. Closer. Closer. Ah! Any of y'all old school South Park people will know exactly what that was. Philip Inman. Warnings from the IMF and World Bank have been dismissed. Well, they are criminal organizations, you know, just saying. But even if they are wrong, a demographic crisis looms. The warning signs are clear. Debt is rising on every continent and especially in the business sector, which has spent the past decade ramping up its borrowing to previously unheard of levels. Last October, the International Monetary Fund said that almost 40% of the corporate debt in 8 leading countries, the US, China, Japan, Germany, Britain, France, Italy, and Spain, would become so expensive during a recession that it would be impossible to service. In other words, tens of thousands of businesses employing millions of people would have gambled with high levels of borrowing and lost, making themselves insolvent. Also, speaking of losing, it boggles my mind ever since I started, honestly, like really taking a look at Tesla, the car, the company, Elon Musk, before I even owned the Tesla that I have right now. I said, you know, God, there's an article, there's a news moron, there's someone out there constantly bashing Tesla. The stock's going to dump, it's going down. Worst month they've ever had, it's going down. And it's like breaking records now. Their stock is like breaking records, going back up. Like, really good. And I just read an article the other day. I almost thought about maybe I should do a video on this, just for all the trolls, the financial trolls who are just trying to make a quick buck. Who cares about the company? Who cares about the innovation? Just F them. I want to short this or I want to make a killing. Guess what, shorts of Tesla? You lost $8 billion trying to short Tesla, getting wrecked. I just need to say that. Hang on one second. Had to blow my nose. I got a sickness only one thing can cure. What, that tissue? No. We need more cowbell. He needs more cowbell. Worse, the IMF said that the risks were elevated in 8 out of 10 countries that boasted systemically important financial sectors, adding that this situation was a repeat of the years running up to the last financial crisis. Now, I'm going to guess that the United States might have been one of those 8 out of 10 countries that boasted, oh, we're great, because we have our Federal Reserve doing this reverse repo crap with the banks out of control. I mean, out of control. And the video I just did, which you probably saw the day before you're seeing this, I believe, was another Zero Hedge article, quick look surprised. And it talked about the Fed is illegal. It's illegal for the Fed to directly purchase treasuries from the Treasury Department or the federal government, if you will. So the U.S. Treasury issues Treasury bills, T-bills, whatever, and the Fed's not allowed to buy them. That's part of the charter. We can't do that. It's illegal. Okay. So they let the banks, too big to fail banks that they've given enormous amounts of cash to, as we know, 2008 bailout, and most importantly recently, unbelievable hundreds of billions. I mean, we got to be over $1 trillion now of this reverse repo nonsense. And they let the banks buy them. And then within about 3 days, I think is what it said, 3 days, the Fed then buys those from the bank with a little bonus on top, interest. Here you guys go. In which the banks make millions of dollars in profit. Well, we're not directly buying it from the Treasury. What? What? We didn't buy it from the Treasury. Come on, us New Yorkers, we got to stick together, right? Us criminal banks, we got to stick together, right? Oh, come on, guys. Come on, a couple mil in a room, guys. That's all I need, a couple mil in a room. Says the banks. Anyways, worse, the IMF says the risks were elevated in 8 out of 10 countries that boasted systemically important financial sectors, adding that this situation was a repeat of the years running up to the last financial crisis. Let me just mute my phone in case anyone decides to text or anything, you know what I'm saying? Last month, the World Bank joined in. It said emerging market and developing economies, known as EMDEs, had pushed their borrowing to a record 55 trillion. I need to do that again for emphasis. 55 trillion. Trillion. Oh, God bless you. No, not God bless you. In 2008. Unlike the richer nations already mentioned, the 100 EMDEs across Africa, Asia, and South America covered by the report were affected by rising private sector debt coupled with higher government borrowing. And this extra state borrowing is not only larger, it has also changed in character. First, it has gone from being largely directed to investment spending to, more recently, being used simply to cope with the cost of health, education, and welfare. Second, it is being more commonly borrowed from international investors hungry to lend developing countries cash at, relatively speaking, sky-high rates of interest. And guess what happens? Guess what happens when they can't pay it back? Oh, well, you guys got some resources over there in Africa, diamonds, gold fields, water rights, you owe us the money, we're just going to come in and take it. And then we're going to charge the people over there the taxation that you're going to have to now charge them to give to us, because we're going to make a deal with you where you tax them to give us the money, or we just tax, so to speak, these people directly by providing them quote-unquote services, electric, water, and everything else, and we'll just go after them and charge them whatever we feel like we want to charge them. Whereas the government should have had those services already in place. Nope. And they should have been available even from public utilities. Nope. They'll just own all those utilities, and then you don't have a choice in what you're going to pay. It is the IMF playbook, blueprint that they've been using since their existence. They did it to Cyprus. They did it to Greece. And you saw how that went. In many South American countries, I'll add. There is little evidence that anyone is paying any attention to the dire misgivings expressed by either organization. This year, the U.S. S&P 500 stock market resumed its long-term 100-year upward trend following a near 200% increase. See, it was. See, I timed that, turn off my phone, make it go to vibrate perfectly because I just got a text. Rather having it go ding, ding, ding in front of your, face and your ears. Let me just shut that off. I got a feeling like maybe a text could come in. Moments later, a text comes in from a lady that we met in the Southwest in our special exploration area. Isn't that amazing? Anyways, this year the S&P 500 stock market resumed its long-term 100-year upward trend following a near 200% increase since 2010. Likewise, the German DAX has soared over the past 10 years from 5,500 to over 13,000, while the Paris CAC, also known as CAC 40, has almost doubled to 6,000. Britain's main market in shares has struggled to make any headway over the past 3 years while Brexit uncertainty dominated. Yet the FTSE 100 shows a gain from less than 4,000 in 2009 to 7,600 today. Some analysts have argued that the IMF and World Bank are overcooking their analysis after missing the last financial crash, seeing danger around every corner. Others dismiss them as archaic remnants of the post-war consensus that fail to understand how the global economy has entered a new phase. I will agree to that to some extent, one that keeps stock markets humming along and bad recessions at bay. Yes, because everything's freaking rigged. However, the elite have always crashed the market, and when there's, as their terms are, blood on the street, so to speak, when it's down so bad you're like crying and throwing up, they come in, buy up everything, while pumping the news, it's going lower, it's going lower, it's going lower, that's it. And it doesn't happen. And then they get in and the markets start going back up again. Because we have Trump in power, I don't know that we're going to see it go down. My mom says, no, we're not. Yeah, there'll be little dips and little sell-offs, but it'll go right back up. Little corrections or whatever. So they don't get to have their little double dipping where they get to crash it, then buy in, it goes way up, they sell off all their stuff, it crashes again, they buy the bottom, and just keep repeating this while you, if you happen to be ready to retire, at that moment, you're ready to cash out of your 401k when they're playing their effing criminal game on you. Oh man, I just retired, I gotta go get another job, I cashed out my 401k, it's way down, oh no. Sorry, the elite are playing their game. At least with someone like Trump in power, this thing just keeps going up. However, the stock markets and whatnot could still keep going up, and we still have a freaking problem here. All this debt creation with interest attached to every dollar. Yep. And we had our largest budget, recently that the Congress passed. President signed it into law. I told you he would. I said, get ready to see spending like you've never seen before. It can't go the other way. At least I feel with Donald Trump, he's going to ride that horse till it dies. And then, whoop, swooshing up gold back currency. We got this covered. Oh, okay. Maybe it won't be too hard, but maybe it will. Maybe that interim period when things are falling apart, dollars crashing, whatever, interest rates are crazy. Oh my gosh. How do we do this? How do we fix this? We can't afford to service the debt. Maybe Donald Trump will say, we're just going to print the money right now and we're going to pay off the debt with these dollars we just created. Okay, everybody's paid off. Have a nice day. We're coming out with the new dollar, the new $100 bill, whatever. It's backed by gold. Moving forward. Have a nice day. I mean, maybe. So, let's continue on. In the short term, at least, the optimists could be right. And that is largely down to the actions of the U.S. Central Bank, which was on course to repeat the mistake of 2005 through 7 when it matched rising debt levels, especially in subprime mortgage loans, with rising interest rates, triggering the kind of financial crash that the IMF and World Bank now fear is around the corner. This time, the Federal Reserve retreated after pushing base rates to almost 2.5%, still well short of the pre-cash normality of 4 to 5%, but higher than almost everywhere else. After 3 rate cuts last year, the U.S. economy starts 2020 with the base rate back in range between 1.5 and 1.75%. Without higher interest rates, everyone can keep merrily borrowing. And when, for most businesses, borrowing rates remain low below their potential income growth rate, even when that is lackluster, there is not the usual imperative to boost growth through investment in order to afford higher debt repayments. But really, this is a back-to-front way of discussing the issue. Most of the problems afflicting the global economy relate to a lack of demand for goods and services, at least on average, compared with the prior years prior to 2008 crash. And much of the weak demand relates to our aging populations, which in the main focus more on storing up savings for retirement than on spending. They are also in the habit of voting for governments that promise to keep taxes low and property prices high, allowing them to accumulate even more wealth. Donald Trump and Boris Johnson fit that bill. Through their pensions and private investments, they treat companies like cash machines, demanding a higher dividend every 6 months. Much of the borrowing by companies has been paid or has paid these individuals not to invest. Baby boomers will pretty much all have retired by the end of this new decade. So by the end of 2020, so 2029, 2030. So most will have stopped investing and just be withdrawing their investment funds. And it is this turn of the Wheel of Fortune that will wreck the global economy if the accumulation of debt and the climate crisis haven't gotten there first. Now, I'll go ahead, because that's nonsense with the climate crisis, and just scratch that off. But you might say, well, what do you mean scratch it off? Let me say this too. This global warming, man-made garbage part of it, scratch that off. That does not mean natural earth changes aren't happening, because they are. More earthquakes, more volcanoes, more fires, more problems. Therefore, the result's still kind of the same. We have to deal with these things. It's causing a lot of money, a lot of insurance claims, a lot of stuff, right? More debt. So the next 10 years is when this could really get out of control. And then maybe after, again, this could be after 2024, Donald Trump, he's finally out of office. And here comes his son, Don Jr. Come on, step right in. I have a lot of faith in these people, that family, that they will do what's right. But typically when a large change comes, the people have to feel pain so that they agree, yes, make the pain stop, we'll accept anything. Okay, well, here's what we need to do. If the elite were in charge, one world order, one world currency, your rights are gone, your sovereignty's gone. If Donald Trump's in power, or the Trump family or similar, I feel, like Q had said, gold, we have the gold. Yes, we do. We have it. And gold will destroy the Fed. So if the Fed is destroyed and we have gold that Q's saying we are going to use it, that sounds to me like, yeah, there might be some problems, but we already have a solution. It's not going to be, make the pain stop. We'll accept anything. Okay. One world government. Here you go. No. Make the pain stop. Oh, that's a good idea. We'll back our currency by gold again. That works. Okay, great. Problem solved. I can hope for that. But I can also hope that our cryptocurrencies are so high that we're all sitting back, not being bothered by any of it. Oh yeah, housing prices are up again. It's out of control. The interest rates have gone negative. Finally, Trump has dropped. You got the Fed to drop interest rates unbelievably, minus 1%. And you can get a mortgage really cheap. A lot of house for a little money, little payment. Again, most of your payment, go look at your little statements and notice how most of your payment is interest. A small amount is your principal. Isn't that amazing? Shouldn't it be the other way around? Shouldn't I, if I'm paying, let's just say your mortgage by itself, no escrow, nothing, just the mortgage, $1,000 a month. And you look at your statement and 800 of it, typically 850, is interest. The other 150, there's your principal. So every time I make a payment, only $150 of my hard-earned money is going to pay back this effing bank. And don't you wonder, with all the housing across this country, how is their money already always ready to go to fulfill all these mortgages? Well, I don't have a mortgage, I pay rent. Well, then someone you pay rent to, they own the house, they have a mortgage or had a mortgage. How is there enough money created that banks can give you this money? How did banks just all of a sudden have all this money to lend everybody to make mortgage payments, to give them a mortgage? Doesn't make sense, does it? They have that much money to say, yeah, you can pay us this we'll give you a loan. But we still have to give them like 90%, 80 something percent of our hard-earned money every month in interest to barely pay off this freaking mortgage. Well, you could if you double your payment once a year, double your mortgage, you could cut down your mortgage by 10 years and after. Oh, okay. No, how about we look at the real problem? Why am I spending $850 a month to borrow money and only pay back $150? Shouldn't I be putting $850 towards the mortgage? And you getting your little $150 in interest. So again, you're getting your $850. It's your money. It's your loan. So you're getting the $850 from me. Plus $150 bonus interest. What's wrong with that every single month? Nope. We're the banks and we run the show. And we also own the Fed. Remember, the owners of the Fed, that's a law was passed a long time ago that the Fed will never have to reveal who owns it. Who are the actual owners? Can't know that. But there was a document leak in the 70s that showed who owns the Fed. And it's all the super elite families, the ones that own all the banks. So the banks own the Fed. The Fed gives the banks these back sweetheart deals. It's like you're giving yourself your own deal. Unfreaking believable. Take care.